When the father who loved her most came to her bedside, the daughter happily began to undress. But the next second, the mother rushed out at the sound. After killing his wife and daughter with his own hands, he headed straight for his son's room. When the son saw his father, he started to unbuckle his belt, only to be met with his father's ruthless gun. But what no one expected was that the man then turned the gun on himself. With a single gunshot, the man died on the spot. He thought his whole family could die together and finally find peace. Unexpectedly, the son was only shot in the shoulder and was saved by emergency personnel. From the son's account, police learned why the father had gone to such extremes. He could not bear the condemnation of public opinion. Just a few days earlier, his sister had been with their father in a compromising situation when a classmate named Joe saw them. At first, Joe didn't think much of it, but when he recognized the man, he realized he was the girl's own father. Joe, who loved stirring up trouble, spread the secret everywhere. The forbidden relationship between father and daughter was exposed, and everyone began to gossip and judge the girl. The wealthy, high-profile father was too ashamed to go on living, so he kindly took his whole family to the grave. Everyone thought the nightmare was over, but the son survived against all odds. 20 years passed in the blink of an eye. The son grew up and inherited his father's huge fortune. But material comfort could not heal his inner scars. He still hated Joe deeply and swore to make him pay in blood. Meanwhile, Joe met a woman holding a yellow umbrella in the rain. He thought he'd stumbled into a romantic encounter, but the next second he was knocked unconscious. When he woke up again, the man found himself in what looked like a hotel room. He drowsily pulled open the curtains, only to discover the window was just a picture of the outside world. The door was also tightly locked. The man banged on the door anxiously, but got no response. He slammed the door frantically and realized it was made of solid steel.
Hello? Fuck! Hello?
Finally calm, Joe understood. He had been kidnapped and imprisoned. From that day on, he never saw another human being. Even his food was pushed through a small hole like a dog's meal. He stuck his head out, begging to be set free, but no matter how he pleaded, his captor ignored him. Worse, every meal was dumplings, their taste disgusting to him. At least alcohol helped numb his pain, and so he lived in endless darkness. His only entertainment was watching women exercising on TV. But one day, while Joe was distracted, knockout gas filled the room. The man collapsed unconscious on the bed. Someone then entered to collect his hair, take his fingerprints on a metal pipe, and swab his saliva. When Joe woke up again, he turned on the TV, only to be hit with devastating news. His ex-wife had been raped and beaten to death. Their 3-year-old daughter, homeless and unadopted, had been sent to an orphanage, and all the evidence pointed to him. Unable to face the heartbreak, he turned off the TV. Every moment in that room was torture, but life went on. Gradually, the man began to hallucinate. The black waiter from the poster appeared on his bed, but it was all just an illusion. To fill the emptiness inside, he bit his finger until it bled and drew a face on his pillow. Then he held it and fell asleep, lost in fantasy. Day after day dragged on, long enough for a US president to finish a term. One day, he found a mouse. A creature people usually hated became his only companion. Under his care, the mouse even gave birth to a litter of babies. He thought he could live out his days with his little white mice. But the next morning, they were all gone. That day, his captors served him a special dish. When Joe lifted the lid, he completely broke down. It was the final straw. In despair, Joe smashed the mirror, grabbed the sharpest shard, and slit his wrist. But his captors would not let him die so easily. When he woke up again, his beard and hair were neatly trimmed, his wrist bandaged. All glass was removed from the room, and a security camera was installed, watching him 24/7. On the other end of the monitor was the man who had orchestrated it all, watching him with cold contempt. 10 more years passed. A new TV program came on, and this time it was about his daughter. Over the past decade, she had been adopted and shown a gift for playing the cello. At that sight, Joe finally smiled with relief. He found a reason to live again. He began writing letters to his daughter. To become strong enough to see her one day, he started working out and quit drinking, his only comfort. He learned martial arts from TV and secretly chipped away at the wall with a pen. His hard work paid off. He finally broke through the wall and escaped from the bathroom. He kicked open the outer barrier, and sunlight blinded him after 20 years in darkness. But he suddenly remembered his letters to his daughter were still in the room. He had to go back. Just then, his daughter appeared on TV. Joe couldn't help but stop and watch, wondering how she felt about him now.
Your father's been missing for 20 years. I don't know if he presumed that he's dead, but if I could somehow bring him here.
Do you think you could forgive him?
I could try.
He sighed in relief, unwilling to look away from her playing. But once again, gas filled the room. He tried to leave, but it was too late. He blacked out. When he woke up again, he was in the middle of a wilderness. He kicked open the wooden box, squinting against the sunlight after 2 decades underground. He looked around cautiously, breathing in the world outside greedily. His letters to his daughter were still there, and his pocket held $10,000 in cash. He had no idea that an even more tangled, terrifying trap awaited him ahead.